And I looked around. I was like, me? So, cause and Rattlers was strike, and strike again. Welcome, everyone to Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture from two very different perspectives. I'm your host, Theo, and on the line I have the man himself, Mr. Benja. What's up?
What is up, man? What's up? Yeah, the co-host is in the house, and it's hotter than July, and it's the end of June.
This is definitely not Christmas in July. It's too hot. So before we get into it, we're going to catch up on the latest news. F9 came out. We had some new trailers we want to discuss. There's some interesting things going on in the TikTok world with black TikTokers, and we'll catch up on that. Then we'll do our feature story. We'll do a stock check-in like we normally do. This is the business side of Show versus Business. So we'll catch you up on the latest there when it comes to entertainment stocks and crypto. And then finally, we'll do our Loki check-in. This week, we'll do two episodes, episode 2 and 3. Give you a sense of what's happening in the Marvel world and what's happening next. So with that being said, Mr. Benja, how was your week?
Week was good, man. Week was good. This is the halfway point for 2021, and I'm big on the whole, New Year's resolution thing. So halfway through the year, I have to stop, reassess what I'm doing, toss out some nonsense, and tighten up on some things that were working right. So it's been kind of sitting back, planning, thinking, filling up notebooks, that kind of thing.
Same here, brother. Same here. I was literally sitting here right before this. We sat down together thinking about here it is July. I got to review my half year notes. So really ready to get into the second half of this year. Very interesting year. We're definitely emerging from this pandemic and some positive things. But unfortunately for you and I, on a personal note, someone that we were, semi, knew about and were kind of close to. We both went to Florida A&M University, or FAMU, for those that don't know. And recently, a great man, the president, who was the president there when we were both attending, Dr. Frederick S. Humphreys, recently passed away at the age of 85. And so, Mr. Benja, I'll let you get into your perspective, obviously, as a native Tallahassean, and just understanding his impact. And then I can kind of talk about my impact as someone who kind of emerged in later on, but really saw his impact when I attended FAM.
Well, yeah, definitely a sad day. A lot of people were really affected by him, and I'm glad you made it a point to bring this up, because Frederick S. Humphreys was one of those guys that just made a mark, and you knew he was moving, dealt with many people on many levels, and wasn't just a figurehead, but was actually a driving force for a lot of good at a university. I had the opportunity to meet with him on several occasions, actually, where my mother was a professor at Florida A&M, and because of that, she'd get invited to staff events and things, and at times I would run into Frederick S. Humphreys, the president there. So in those times, my mother always said, watch out for that guy, not in a bad way. She's like, hey, watch Dr. Humphreys. He's a very powerful figure. You need to know him, understand where he's coming from, study him and think about him, because you could learn a lot. And, you don't think too much of it because a figurehead guy is kind of far off. But over time, you just realize that, okay, this guy's not all talk. He's actually in there doing things, making things happen. And I didn't think he actually knew me until that one time I was in the president's. There's an office complex where they just call it the president's office, and there are a lot of offices and rooms in there. And I was up there trying to nail down a scholarship for something, and I needed a letter of approval to get something signed. So they said, well, go up to the president's office and we'll talk to the secretary. We'll get it signed. It was just a procedural kind of thing. And he walks in, says hey to everybody, big booming voice. And, he turns to me and says, young Mr. Johnson, glad to see you here. Hope you're doing good things. And it was one of those moments where I was like, oh wait, this guy knows me. I haven't even been in the school that long. He remembered me from my mom. I think I said hey to him once over here and shook his hand, but the fact that he just connected like that, so real, just that was one moment that just stuck with me. And there were plenty of other moments, but yeah, man. So I don't know. I saw it from a smaller scale, in terms of the people he knew and things like that. I don't, and I want to know if curiosity, yeah, how did he affect you?
Well, obviously, I came from outside. I grew up in California. We moved here when I was a junior. Moved here when I say here, meaning Florida, when I was a junior in high school. And so I was evaluating ways to get back to California. So I applied to some highfalutin universities out there, and tried to think about where I was going to go for college. But in the back of my mind, people were talking about FAMU, and obviously, if you don't know, FAMU is known for what they call the Marching 100, which is one of the top, college collegiate bands out there, right? They've done tons of, interesting things. I actually marched for, I think, President Clinton and other type of luminaries over the years, and so they did a thing called the Classic here in Florida, in Tampa, and then moved over to Orlando, Florida, and they would always perform and do a lot of scholarships and things of that nature. So that was kind of like all in the back of my mind, but back in my mind, it's like, I'm not going to that school, man. I got big dreams, man. I'm going to the
Oh
big
man.
top ones, man. I gotta get that education. So kind of poo pooed it, man. But then as I did my journey and got accepted to some pretty decent schools, they kind of reached out to me and said, hey, if you want to go, guess what? You got a full ride and you got an internship. And I looked around. I was like, me? So, cause I mean, I was decent school, decent guy. I was lazy back in high school, so I didn't think anything about it. But I was going to be engineer, and that was enough to kind of entice me to kind of consider FAMU. And then when I kind of went up to visit and got to know some people, and man, I said, hey, guess I'm going to FAM, and so changed my life, man. I mean, obviously, spoiler alert, I met you there, and so we became friends, and then met another good friend of mine. Both of you both were in my wedding, so there you go. And I think I met my other friend there, Dr. Chris. That's what we'll call him. He the first week, literally the first day of class, and he's been my friend for almost 30 years now. So there you go. So fam, you changed my life. But I say all that in context to what Dr. Humphreys did. Read his biography, he was a chemistry major, got a PhD in chemistry, and became an administrator. His biggest focus was on creating scholarships for, students like me, right? Folks who were engineering majors who were thinking about going to other universities like maybe Georgia Tech or University of Florida or something like that, right? Which, what they call PWIs, or predominantly white institutions, because, that's just what you did. You just thought they had, a way to get your education. But what he did was really flip the script. He was like, look, you can always go to different schools later on and everything, but why don't you come to FAM? Especially if you consider we can give you a full ride, plus you can get a internship ready to go. Man, that changed the game. I mean, literally, there was a scholarship that he called the Life Gets Better Scholarship. I know tons of people who took him up on that offer, and it was a very similar offer, but I think they also even got some money every semester too, right? In addition to, the scholarship for education as well as the internship. Tons of people took him off on that offer, and he literally swayed, pretty much a generation. A lot of our friends, who came over to FAM when they could have went to places like Harvard or Stanford or places like that because of what Humphreys did. And he was really, and I think at the time he said it was like the number one school of graduating individuals with bachelors of sciences, and the number three university of all the country that graduate black students with engineering degrees. So he definitely changed the game with all the stuff he did. And I think the culmination was when FAMU won the 1997 Time School of the Year, Time Princeton School of the Year, and that was a big fanfare. Both of you, I think you and I were both at the school at the time where that was to cover our
Yeah, yeah.
magazines, and people were like, FAMU, what's that? Florida A&M. So I say all that to say, can you read his biography? I mean, he was always doing stuff like that, right? Basically, really, I mean, he My brother-in-law, he's a lawyer because he saved the law school there in Orlando and made it the FAMU law school, right? And that, brought that back. Originally, FAMU had a law school, got taken away. He brought that back. He saved the engineering program from being just assimilated into Florida State and kind of did this FAMU FSU College of Engineering kind of partnership.
Yep.
So he did a lot of, a lot of great things. And when you just read his biography and you think if you could just do it, a tenth of what he did in your life, man, you feel like you'd be successful, man. And you just, when you read that, you just kind of like, wow, he really had an impact on generation of people. And I think everyone we know can directly, see the effect that he's had on his life, on their lives. So it's definitely a sad day that someone so great had passed away.
Yeah, and I don't know if, man, you're right. I forgot what the name of my scholarship was, but I remember, I kind of poo-pooed it as well. My mom was like, "No, check the terms of this scholarship. If you keep your grades up, you'll get this and that, and you'll get." Um, it wasn't the Life Gets Better. I wasn't on that program. I was on something else. But I was like, "Yeah, you keep your grades up. You'll get advanced placement for this and that, and you'll have an opportunity to go on to grad school." So I wasn't even finished with high school, and they're already talking about, ideas for grad school, and I was like, "Huh, okay, so there's plans in place." And uh, yeah, pretty much. And they pulled a move on me when I got my high school diploma. I went to FAMU High actually, so FAMU was all connected in with FAMU High, right? So I get up on stage, and you know, um, they hand everybody their diplomas, and then they kept a couple students off to the side. It's like the valedictorian, and all that. I was not the valedictorian or anything like that, but they had like 6 or 7 of us. And they're like, yes, these are our students that have done this and that and that. And they brought me up, and they were like, Mr. Johnson here, he has an opportunity to go to all these colleges, and we're here to offer him a scholarship to FAMU. And everybody starts cheering, and I'm looking out in the crowd like, they got me. They got me. What am I gonna do?
No, sir, I will not be going to FAMU. No, boo.
Yeah, basically.
Wait a minute. So let's set the stage. You were at FAMU High. Basically, you would set aside to say, "Hey, you're gonna get a full ride to the Florida A&M University,
Yes.
coming from FAMU High." Yeah, you had to say yes. You had no choice.
Yeah, man. I'm in there shaking hands, and the photographs are clicking and everything, and I'm like, God, they got me. They got me. But no, it was a wonderful experience, though, man. And now if I hadn't gone to FAMU, I would have missed all those great speeches that he gave.
Oh man, awesome.
And I won't even try to repeat his catchphrase, his catch. I don't even know what you want to call it. His
I don't know, his call to action, his
yes,
kind
there
of.
It goes. We'll call it the call to action. But
it was the way he did it. I mean, I put it on, posted on Facebook, but I mean, it was just legendary when he, did it. And so every time you would listen to a speech, you do you just be ready for him to say it, right? He'll be blah 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 blah. Then he starts going, and you just, oh no, and you get so hyped, man. That was the hypest thing. That was the hypest thing ever.
And the storms come rolling, and you're like, ah! People started like stomping their feet on the ground, making the thundering noise,
And Rattlers will strike, and strike again. So for those that don't know, he basically had this real deep voice, and the way he would, kind of say this motto, this call to action, it really emulated like the storms are coming. The way he talked, it was like you could visually, picture what he was kind of describing, right? And it was about basically, getting knocked down, but you still keep coming no matter what happens to you. And, and I read it again recently, and it was very apropos. It's like, wow, man, and I see that a lot of folks I went to FAMU with. I mean, maybe it was just ingrained in us because subconsciously, we just didn't know it. But I see that everyone I kind of talk to, they get knocked down in life, but they get back up. And so I think that is a legacy he also left. So what a great man, man. I mean, there's not enough accolades that go around to what he's done. And, like I said, reading his obituary made me think like, wow, there's if we could just do a tenth of what he did, man, to impact the world, beyond just, talking to folks and but really kind of making positive change. I think that's what I learned from him.
Definitely, definitely.
So let's get into the news. So Mr. Benja, F9, Fast and the Furious 9, came out this weekend, and the box office is on fire. So it is the biggest release since the pandemic. I think the latest numbers are around 70 million. This is just domestic release from Friday to, I guess, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. $70 million. That's a lot since the pandemic. And that's almost, pre-pandemic numbers for, a summer release, So, Mr. Benja, what are your thoughts, man? Spoiler alert. Did you go see the movie?
Didn't go see the movie. I was I was sitting around and I was thinking, I could go see and then I had a thought in the back of my head, like, you know what? There's I don't feel like cooking anything. I don't feel like going out to buy anything. I don't feel like Grubhubbing. Oh wait, there's a frozen pizza in my freezer. I just got lazy, man. It didn't have enough pull to get me out to the theaters, and I wanted to, but I obviously didn't really want to. Sad.
For shame, man. Well, guess what? Spoiler alert, neither did I. So we are terrible. We're terrible podcasters. We did not go see this movie. I literally thought about it half a second. I had to go out of town this weekend, and I thought about it. See, man, go check it out. But I was so tired after the event, the family event. So, but it got mixed reviews, and so that was kind of weighing on me as well. And if I was gonna go see it, my thoughts were I'd rather go see it like early in the day where there's maybe not a lot of people there, so I can still kind of be somewhat safe because, I'm fully vaccinated. Spoiler alert, but I do wear my mask sometimes, and then I think but you're sitting in a enclosed area for 2 hours, 2.5 hours for a movie. It's still kind of with a lot of people in there. I don't feel as comfortable maybe as I think I should, especially in the dark, right? You don't know what's going on. Yeah. Here's someone hacking a lung over there. Just like, oh Lord, you're like what? So anyway, so I did not go see it, but I think hopefully we'll give a quick review maybe in the next maybe week or two once we kind of get some more sense of that. But I mean, it's impressive, 70 million, man. I mean, do you think that's impressive, or what are you thinking when it comes to that number when you hear it?
I think that was a good, definitely a good showing for where we are right now. I think last year we were getting excited about 14 million and 20 million, and these were like one-offs here and there. So to have something land as big as 70 million, and it didn't premiere in the States, so that's another thing. Usually when it premieres here, it gets a bigger bump, as far as I know. But yeah, 70 million, very respectable.
Yeah, I agree. I wish we could talk more about the movie itself, but I would just say, like I said, I think there's still some mixed reviews, but there's still excitement for this franchise. So I'm guessing there's gonna be F10 because I mean, if they single-handedly, Vin Diesel and team is single-handedly saved the box office, they got a rewarder for F10, right? They got finished. They got to get into the double digits, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't leave on a single digit like a 9. That's not even a good mathematically sound number. It's like 9. Gotta make it 10.
Even 10, man. So to the moon.
in their case, probably literally.
Yeah, I think that might be where they're kind of headed with this thing, to the moon, man. Because I don't know where else it can go. I mean, we both saw the trailer for it, and looks like they got flying cars now. They got they got trains, and it's just getting wild, man. So sure, they're like superheroes in cars now. So you might as well be an animated series when you watch this show. So this movie. So it's going to be interesting where it goes. Speaking of animated, there's some new news on the animated front. Smallville Those that don't know, the Smallville, which was the TV show back on the CW in the early aughts, early 2000s. Looks like there's an anime series on the way, Mr. Benja. Artistically, will this get you excited? I mean, do we need to see another kind of anime show?
So Smallville really left a mark on people, and in a good way. A lot of people really dug it. The down home feeling of a uh, family, local town, village kind of show where you kind of knew all the characters and there were a lot of social interactions between them. So it kind of brought the whole hero scape down to a more relatable level for a lot of people, and they really got into it. And even though the CW's been doing that similar thing for a while, Smallville in particular really left a mark on people and still is something people call back to. So making an animated version of this just seems like the right thing to do. I think they'll definitely catch on with a good number of people, and it'll be interesting to see how animation can make that story of a more, family group centered group of people come alive.
Yeah, I, I'm sure. I mean, like I said, I don't see the purpose of it. I mean, be honest with you, they kind of have that with Lois and Clark. I mean, Superman and Lois right now. They kind of have that Smallville feel with evolution of the Superman story and the mythos.
Yeah.
So revisiting that, I don't know if that's really that what people are looking for, but it sounds like you're right. I mean, there's some nostalgia there. It came out in the early knots. That's 20 years. People get nostalgic, and so they want to kind of see that kind of storytelling. But it's if you don't know, man, that show has some problems, man. I mean, especially the actress that played Chloe, his best friend, the journalist. Oh, she got mixed up with some wacky stuff, man. So it's
Mm.
like, so if you don't know, go check out Nexium, what that is, the cult. So she got kind of mixed up with that,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of like she was one of the main characters of Smallville for many years. But I liked it at the time. I do feel like the storyteller has evolved. I'll be honest with you, Superman and Lois, they're killing it, man. They're killing it. We don't really kind of recap it, but maybe we'll do a recap at the end of the season. But this last episode was pretty good, pretty good. So
Yeah.
so we'll see if an anime show
Superman.
is important.
Yeah, Superman and Lois is definitely doing the serialized thing. Um, in terms of you see a story play out over an entire season and everything is more connected. And with Smallville and a lot of animated shows, to be frank, you get more of this character building, single episode kind of show. And I think that trying their hand out with that in animation is I think that's a worthy swing. You might as well try it, see how it works out. If it does work out, then you have ways to experiment more with other types of properties.
Speaking of experimentation, new trailers were put out there, man, to let folks know that's got some new hot product coming out to your movie theaters or to your streaming services here in the summertime or in the fall. So there were two that were released. I would say from a business perspective, one was excellent. The other, not so much. So, I want you to guess which one you think as we kind of go over this. But so the new Shang-Chi trailer was released 2 weeks before Black Widow, and so that was they had teaser trailer, but this was a more fully robust one where we kind of saw more of the special effects and the story, what this could be possibly about. And then the Harder They Fall, new basically black cowboy, if you will, type movie was released with an all-star cast. So Mr. Benja, man, which one did you like the best? Which one you like the least? And which one you more excited to see?
So as I think I may have mentioned before, I'm on for Shang Chi, the whole ass kicking kung fu. I grew up on those movies, so seeing that replayed in a Marvel sense, with now the updated ideologies and sensibilities from something like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon hero, you know, um, Jet Li kind of thing. It's that vibe is coming into the Marvel universe. So I'm really excited for that. I really was just confused as why they released it right now, before Black Widow. So I don't know. Maybe they already bought the ad time for it and it just happened to work out that way. but that was weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, they show more, and I'm pretty interested to kind of see where this goes. But it does give me the whole Marvel vibe. It's like, we started off, this is the story of a guy. He's got on a journey. He's got some adversaries. Great, I love it. But then it looks like it's going to end up in a CGI mess, right? A big fight at the end, some CGI stuff. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I do like some of the art. I like the ten rings aspect of it, where they're going to fight and with potential adversary that's close to him. So I think that's going to be interesting. But I don't know, man. It does seem like, I hope it's going to be, it evolves more than just where we see normal Marvel movies kind of evolve to.
Wait. What do you mean? You don't think it's I don't get that. Hold on. You
So
want to see it
what I mean
evolve more?
is, well, third acts in all Marvel movies, they end up in CGI mess, right? Just like, hey,
Okay.
I'm fighting the bad guy, oh, the CGI world, right? We're going to fight in this realm, or Black Panther, we're fighting down the shaft into the into the
Right. Right.
vibranium. It's like, why is this here? It was good until this point, and I've heard rumors that Black Widow is similarly paced, right, where there's just like a big CGI fight at the end. So, uh, WandaVision was like that, right? They were in the sky, fighting CGI, magic, right? So
Okay.
it's kind of like,
So
this is
the
kind of where it evolves
formula's
to.
just wearing on you.
Sure. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess that's just is that the normal screenplay kind of formula? But I don't know, man. They got to think of something else, because it's kind of like, I get it's got to
Yeah.
escalate,
Yeah.
right? And then at the end, the escalation is like Wonder Woman, you're fighting the god of war, right? He was nowhere to be found this whole time, but this little wimpy dude, now he's all chiseled and he's buffed up, and he's the god of war, right? So, and Wonder Woman's coming down on a bolt of lightning all of a sudden. So, sure, but it's kind of like, I get why you have to escalate it to kind of raise the stakes, but there's got to be a different way to think through this. That's all.
Okay. Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah, so that's all. I mean, and I think we always kind of give Thor the Dark World a bad name, but I think they were trying to do something different at the end, uh, but it didn't work. But I commend them on trying to do that, right? So that's the thing. I think, and Thor Ragnarok did some interesting things too. But anyway, so, and then the other trailer that came out, The Harder They Fall. Man, excited about this one. Produced by Sean Carter. Who is that? Do you
Sean
know who that
Carter.
is, Mr. Benja?
Jigga what? Jigga who?
Jigga who?
That's yeah. I saw the trailer, man, and you sent it along, and I was like, oh, let me check this out. And you got a great cast: Idris Elba, Regina King, and a lot of other black characters that you notice and recognize. So I was hyped about it, and then they threw in there, produced by Sean Carter, and I was like, hold on, hold on a second. Let me make sure I saw that right. Sean Carter, you mean Jay-Z, right? And yeah, man. So Jay Z's throwing his hat in the production ring. I don't know to what capacity,
Yeah,
or
sure.
what, but yeah, this should be interesting. We'll see if we get a good soundtrack at least.
Well, he was. I don't know if he was the music producer or something about American Gangster. I don't know if you remember that movie with Denzel
All
Washington
right, all
and
right, all
Russell
right.
Crowe. Remember, he kind of created. He had some songs that came out with that, and so he was really heavily involved in that. And so I don't know if it's something similar. He's just doing straight production, but I mean, dude, I mean that trailer was hot. I mean, it came out like for bullet, man. I mean, they introduced all the characters. I mean, it was like, I mean, the action looked pretty slick. Uh, the cast, you just, oh yeah, that's that guy, that's that guy, that's that guy, that's that girl. It's just like everybody, you're excited to see. It was, and the rumor is that the story is based on real characters.
Mhm.
Every character that the actor is being portrayed by a real life, cowboy from that time. So that's going to be elevated, right? So it's time that these kind of characters get their due.
Mm. I wasn't as excited about it as you are, but I'll keep an eye out for this one. Y- y- One the thing they say about Jay-Z though is that he has incredible taste when he selects projects. Like if he hears a song or hears a beat or sees a play or something, they just say he has incredible selection. So I'm assuming that he didn't just jump on this or wants to flex, but he saw something he liked and was like, you know what, we can make this into a real thing. So I'm optimistic.
Hmm. Yeah, the guy who did directed this, I think he was the music guy for The Great Gatsby, the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio back in the day. And so, look, that was very similar to Boots Riley. Do you know him?
Hmm.
He did a movie. Man, now I'm drawing a blank. It's same. Lakeith Stanfield, the actor, he was in that one too.
Right.
Very weird movie. If you ever seen it, what was it called? It'll come to me later. But
You
he
smell nice.
basically was, huh?
You smell nice. Oh no, you smell nice. That one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wish you a happy and blessed day, brother. Yeah, it'll come to us in a second, but he was a music guy, right? Boots Riley is like a collective in Oakland, and he created this movie. You haven't seen it? Very out there movie with Lakeith Stanfield and great actresses and actors are coming out. But make a long story short, you see a lot of these music guys trying to get into movies all of a sudden, and so they come with a different flair, right? So I'm excited about this to kind of see what this guy from for the Harder They Fall, what he comes up with, right? Because I'm really excited to kind of see what he comes, because they come up with different stories. And the movie was called Sorry to Bother You. So yeah,
Right.
that was a very weird movie, but definitely excited to kind of see it. So yeah, man, I think I like stuff that's different, and I think this will be interesting kind of setup. And I think the things that I'm kind of excited about is that it's going to be on Netflix, so it's not really going to be a full lot ride release, so you'll be able to see it and experience it pretty quickly. And it's directed by a gentleman by the name of James Samuel, right, who wrote the screenplay as well. So yeah, I think I thought it was hot trailer. So you know, and finally, like I mentioned, these are going to be characters, real life cowboys that are going to finally get their due. So, which unfortunately is one of the reasons why Black TikTokers are striking right now, because they feel like they're not getting their due, Mr. Benja.
That's right.
So, when you think about that, this latest story, what have you heard about this latest story, Mr. Benja, about what's happening in TikTok world?
All right. So are you are you do you browse TikTok at all or check it out? Uh,
Occasionally, man, it's a time suck, but occasionally.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. So TikTok, and the same is basically true for YouTube, Facebook, and a lot of these other platforms. What you'll end up with is it's not even true of social media. It's true of popular entertainment. What you get is a lot of creatives, usually from Black communities, and other POC. They'll develop a lot of things, but basically, these properties that come out of not properties, these ideas, these vibes, these dances, these styles, these tropes, memes. A lot of these come out of the Black community, and they get picked up by white communities and really spread about quickly, and basically stolen. It's become such a thing. You have entire TikTok and YouTube channels devoted to exposing where something came from. So a guy posts a video. Next thing you know, you'll see five Black people underneath this video saying, "Excuse me, this came from this guy. You can see his video here. Here's his link," and et cetera, et cetera. So it's gotten to the point where Black TikTok has gotten tired of it. So they've actually decided to go on strike with this latest song by Megan Thee Stallion. Usually now, when someone comes out with a song, Soldier Boy, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, whoever, they'll come out with a song that they want to kind of pop off. If someone
Drake?
basically, it shows up on TikTok, and the song is there for you to add to your video. You add the song to your video, you do a dance, you do a meme or something, and it grows from there. This time, sorry, Megan, I guess we didn't mean for it to happen on your watch, but for this new Megan Thee Stallion song, it's like they're just striking. There are TikTok videos out there where Megan Thee Stallion song comes on, and you're like, oh, we're about to get a hot dance, and the TikToker just kind of stands there, and while the public service announcement message pops up on the screen, I will not be dancing for the song. Um, I will not have it stolen and repurposed for other people. It's
Wow.
it's really bizarre.
Is it that prolific? I mean, is this something that they really are holding true to right now?
I thought there would be a couple people who would break ranks and just like, well, screw it, I'm going to start making up dances. But for the most part, everybody's sticking to it, and
Wow.
no one's really breaking ranks. So now, what's comedy is you have these non-dance meme creators, or people who are like, well, I can just create a dance myself. You have these people creating their own memes outside of the black community at large, and they're just not good, man. It's just not. It's not the same. It's like it's like somebody in Connecticut saying, "Well, hey, we can open up a, authentic Mexican burrito stand," or, somebody in South Florida saying, "Hey, we can open up an authentic Chinese bao restaurant." It's just not there, man. Something, it's not right, you know. So
Is missing the secret sauce. I get it.
yeah, and yeah, they've made compilation videos of people who have made sad attempts, and it's kind of funny, but it's kind of sad at the same time. But then it's funny again, so it's okay.
So, from a business standpoint, where do you think this is going to evolve to, man? I mean, does TikTok need? I mean, can you copyright a dance move? I think from a legal standpoint, you can copyright pretty much anything, protect you. But then, because TikTok moves so fast, and you know, how do you, hey, blockchain, right? Could you say, hey, this image, right, is tied to this creator, and so even if you kind of emulate it or whatever, it has to be credited to this person. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, people have copywritten, I mean, gone through the copywriting process for dances, and yes, it does actually work. But with dances, you can throw a slight variation on it, and it's your version of the dance.
Hmm.
But so in general, with the dance community, they really, because of that, they really get upset about people, quote unquote, stealing other people's dances. And this even happened with Fortnite. I don't know if you remember the video
Hmm.
game with all the dances in it.
Yep.
People started suing Fortnite, maybe not so much to win, but to bring attention to the fact that these dances were pretty much just lifted off of someone's YouTube page or someone's TikTok and put into a game without any recognition, credit, or payback to the original owner.
Hmm.
So seeing the community move like this in the TikTok space is pretty cool and pretty interesting. And at least for dances, hey man, try to give credit. I think that's the way to go.
Mm, mhm. Definitely. And I think the comedy, basically stand-up comedians are very similar too, right? I think there was some
Yeah.
big controversy about, joke stealing, right? If I think Cat Williams said that recently that Cedric the Entertainer stole one of his jokes, and so stuff like that comes up, and that's a big no-no. Don't be accused, and you start accusing folks. People don't want to be accused, man. And I think that was a big thing around Dane Cook. I think they said he stole some jokes, and what's his name? Carlos Mencina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're right, man. This whole, theft of, it's kind of interesting, man. Creative world. I get it. This, where did this original idea come from? And so it's kind of like, how, as an artist yourself, it's like, there's stuff that you're drawn to, right? That formulate the foundation of what you're building. But then what's that versus, homage or something like that? What's that versus something straight up copying you? This is Mr. Benja's work, but then I'm doing it, Mr. Benja's work, but I'm writing my name on it. So it's kind of like, how do you, how can you tell the difference?
Yeah, it gets very weird because you get into pop art where, the idea is to take an image or from somebody, and the way you're presenting it is the art, not so much the image itself. That's why Andy Warhol was able to do what he did. Um, then you have somebody paying homage to Shepard Fairey from Obey gets into a lot of trouble for this, or a lot of heat, because he'll pay homage to like old school artists or whatever, and he'll actually have those artists, in the studio working with him and everything. But then when he puts it out,
Mm-hmm.
people are like, "Hey, dude, you just ripped off from such and such," and he's like, "I'm paying homage. I'm letting you know where I'm coming from. This is." So it gets weird, and it's a social dance that the artists have to do. Um, but for the most part, when someone comes and just straight up steals, and then they get called out on it, and there's a fight, like, no, I didn't, or, I can steal whatever I want, then you're just in bad business with the community. Stores will stop stocking your products. People will stop promoting you. Um, Other artists won't put you on. It it goes down really quickly. Emails get sent around like "F that guy." It's like, what? It's like, I didn't know he
Mm-hmm.
did anything. It's like, now you know. So yeah,
It's
a lot
just,
of TikTokers are.
yeah, man. This, TikTok, man. It's a weird world, man. I think, people ultimately, fundamentally, this platform is owned by the Chinese government, and so there's a lot of other things that I'm still iffy about, and this algorithm, is getting really good at figuring out how to keep you on and engage with it. So those two things, not scare me, but concern me longer term, right? And
Mhm.
so you see things like this, theft of art and theft of I hate to say it, but that is something that that happens a lot, from Chinese standpoint. And so IP, understanding what IP is and how to protect it. So just TikTokers, beware, start to think through. I think and NFTs could be a pathway toward that, and we can get into our future stock check in and crypto check in, talk. But
Mhm.
if there's a way that TikTokers can start thinking broadly how you broaden your base outside these platforms, that's going to be the key, right? And then how do you do that? You need some kind of way to kind of keep people attached to you, and so maybe NFTs can kind of lead into that. So anyway, so those are some of my high level thoughts. But let's get into the let's get
Yeah,
into the future, man.
we might actually it might actually be worthwhile to do a whole thing on that, because we're in this copy and cut copy paste culture, and yeah, creativity is weird right now. So, but just put a pin in that for later.
Creativity is weird. Very wise words, Mr. Benja.
I I thought about it all week.
So moving on, let's get our crypto and stock check-in. So recently, meme stocks and crypto, we've seen a lot of movement in these area. We see crypto getting hammered. If you don't know, Bitcoin's basically getting hammered. It's down significantly from its high of around 64,000 in April to like around 32,000 as of today. And then Ethereum was as high as May 10th for about 4,000, and now it's just under 2,000 as of today. So, crypto is seeing a lot of concerns and issues, and I'm just because, from a business standpoint, there's a lot of questions about the long-term sustainability of these cryptocurrencies. What we're seeing high level is you're seeing a lot of the institutional money kind of getting taken out of it, and people are kind of thinking, is this, is this really going to be something that we can look at as like a store of value? We see also issues with China, which is a big market in crypto, really putting a stop on trading and payment with cryptos. And so obviously we got such a big market that was influencing it. When they start taking the money out, obviously you're going to see a drop in the price because of the demand is not strong. And then the environmental concerns, right? You see tons of concerns about mining costs. How's it affect the electricity? Electricity is not cheap, and then obviously that deals into dirty coal and other dirty ways of getting electricity. So people are concerned about that. So there's a lot of other issues, and we don't even talk about government agencies and looking to track crypto, and then the manipulation by big influencers. So high level, Mr. Benja, what are your thoughts? Are you still bullish on Bitcoin, even though it's basically going back down to its earlier levels?
So bullish on Bitcoin. In general, I'm bullish on crypto. Bitcoin in particular is weird because it's the it's the watermark. Everybody kind of follows along with what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin's doing well, everybody else tends to do well. Bitcoin drops, everybody else tends to drop a little bit in the space. So it's what I suspect will start to happen more and more is that we start to have these blockchain technologies and these cryptocurrencies diverge into their own separate uses. Because right now, everyone's kind of lumping them all into one, and that's not, you know, sustainable in a lot of ways. It's not economically sustainable. It's just not workable on your phone. It's like, well, wait a minute, I thought this was a currency, but someone's trying to use it as a store of value, and this other institution is looking at it as a speculative investment, and somebody else is thinking about it as a technology platform to be able to do things like write contracts or whatever. So with those four different ways of utilizing one single I don't even want to call it an asset, but one single you know technology, then you're going to have problems. So hopefully what we'll start to get is one or two of these altcoins maybe carving out a niche and saying, hey, we do just this thing, and that one can separate itself from the blockchain up and down, and then hopefully we'll see that happen. But right now, am I bullish on it? I'm bullish on the market, not so much Bitcoin though.
The challenge with that thesis, in my opinion, is the fact that you see high correlation. So basically, Bitcoin goes up,
Yeah.
Ethereum and all these altcoins go up. Matter of fact, I was looking some quick, analysis here. 90-day correlation between Bitcoin and Ethereum is basically 0.93, 0.7 to 0.93. So the closer you get to one, right,
Yeah.
there's a 1-to-1 relationship. So that's just a 90-day correlation, right? Now, if you look at Litecoin, Ethereum, Ripple, they all have high correlations. They're saying Litecoin was about 0.954. That's over 2 years from 2016 to 2018. 0.916 for Ethereum and 0.836 for Ripple. So the challenge, people always say, yeah, these other coins can kind of surpass Bitcoin, but I just don't see it, right? Because and I think it's also because, unfortunately, if you go to some of these exchanges that can exchange some of these altcoins, you usually have to start with Bitcoin, right? So you can do the exchange. And
Hmm.
then when you have this it's kind of like having a dollar, a U.S. currency, right? And you go to another country, the U.S. dollar is so strong, you can kind of, change it for anything. Bitcoin is so strong, you have to get into Bitcoin first before you can do the exchange,
Yeah.
right, to these other altcoins. So you're going to see a high correlation. It's going to be hard for one of these altcoins to just really take over for Bitcoin. So that's my challenge when people always say like, hey, maybe these altcoins can kind of supplant, Bitcoin, but I just don't see it yet. And it's just, and Bitcoin, let's be honest, from a market cap standpoint, I think it's like, obviously it's the highest. And I
Hmm.
was going to look at how much higher, but it's, definitely significantly higher than I think the nearest one is Ethereum. So when you have a, market cap that high, you're going to drive the market as well, the pricing of that market and overall understanding of it. So that's my challenge. Like, okay, sure, I would love another altcoin to pop up and take over for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
When is that going to cross the streams, right? For lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, I totally hear what you're saying there. And yeah, the future is cloudy. I don't know what that looks like or how it happens, but even Bitcoin itself split from it was Bitcoin and then split Bitcoin Cash because some people were like, "Hey, it's gold, it's a store of value." Other people were like, "Hey, you can buy chicken patties with this." And it's like, which one is it? And El Salvador is kind of running into that problem now. We mentioned them a while ago, and people are trying to use it as cash, but then the price starts fluctuating, and the people are kind of like, "Hey, what's going on?" So yeah, it's right now it's all stuck to Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. But I totally hear you, man.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. And Ethereum is the base, right, for NFTs, right? The whole contract concept, right? I think that's kind of where everybody's trying to get to. So, I would love to see Ethereum break out, a little bit higher, but I think that's kind of the baseline for a lot of this stuff, right? Long term, potentially, right? How Ethereum's contract based smart contracting is really kind of the baseline for some new innovation for the most part.
Yeah, it's funny. I just got an ad from Facebook telling me I could start my own Ethereum token, and I shouldn't have done it because I know what I'm going to get. But I clicked the ad and read their little thing. Man, yeah, man, it's just like, hey, you know, dial up now. We send you the information. You create your own coin. And now I'm thinking over here like, hey, maybe I can get the show versus business coin, and we could just start trading on.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, it's still wild out there. And so much is going on. So many coins. What did they say? Like
Yeah,
10,000 coins are out there, or something like that.
it's ridiculous, and there's still a lot of Andreessen Horowitz, one of the top VC funds, just keeps investing in this market too. So I'm bullish too, even though it's depressed now. I think they're gonna figure out a way to make this work. Right? It's just too much interest. I mean, too much passion around this borderline, basically, religious fervor is
Hmm.
around Bitcoin. So when you have that much passion around something, something's going to be created because obviously they're paying attention. They want it to work, so they're going to put energy, time, and they're going to figure this out. So I think that's what makes me bullish on it. It's just figuring out what that looks like. That's the challenge. And so I think a lot of folks are still trying to think through that. So, again, we don't give investment advice, but, if I were you, hodl. Hold on for dear life, because
Un-
you know.
unless you live in mainland China.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, be careful there. So real quick, we'll cover the meme stocks. So obviously AMC is the big one that kind of got hit recently, kind of in the news. It's kind of leveled out a little bit, but GameStop is always there. There's just this big sense that people want to kind of keep these meme stocks out there. If you go on Wall Street Bets, they're constantly pushing the people to hold the line against the big financial institutions, and trying to we're going to beat the man, and all these short sellers, we're going to beat them because we're going to drive the price up higher, and that's going to make them have to change their position. So again, that's these meme stocks are very similar to crypto, man. This is this religious fervor, right, around a bigger belief beyond just trying to make money, and people are trying to leverage this, right, to kind of sway these retail investors a certain way. So I did some number calculations when it comes to like new investors in the market. So
Okay.
retail investors, new brokerage accounts at 10 million already. So that means there's 10 million people who just started a new stock trading account, and it's only half the year, and that basically was the same total. So we're already at the same total that it was all of last year. So we're basically moving pretty fast. People are opening new accounts, doing new things. Retail accounts for nearly about 20% of all trades. So basically, every trade you see out there on the stock market, 20% comes from retail investors, basically the small investor sitting at home on their Ameritrade or Fidelity account trying to beat the market. And that's double what it was in 2010. So 10 years ago, it was only 10% of the market. It's now 20%. Uh,
You mean that counts like Donnell across the street when he got his Cash App and started trading?
Yes, or literally, I was hanging with some cousins this weekend. Yes, my cousins all knew about this. We were talking in detail about the stocks they were owning, and I said, "How long you been doing this?" March of last year. I was like, "Oh, there you go."
Yeah, man.
So yeah, it's a lot of new blood in there, man, and so it shows a lot of volume and volatility, right? In this market right now. And so it's kind of interesting to see. On one hand, It's good to see so many people passionate about, the stock market, but are they educated? Excuse me, are they educated? And that's the challenge, right? And I think there definitely needs to, with the internet, there is better ways to get educated. There are YouTubers trying to educate people. There's things you can listen to, CNBC. But I do feel like, the big investors do try to get these retail investors to move a certain direction because now they know where to get the information. So they may put some FUD out there. Hey, you got AMC. Well, I see another stock that you need to worry about. So they're trying to manipulate them one way or the other. And, and a lot of these retail investors, let's be honest, a lot of them are just in it they see the big returns that people got from GameStop, or, you hear all these stories. There was a story about a kid. His mom gave him like, some GameStop stock for his birthday last year, and he's got roughly $100,000. So he's rich. He's only 10 years old, and so people are like, you hear stories like that. People paying off their student loans right from the GameStop. So when you hear stories like that, you think it's a casino, man. You think it's a lottery and ticket. And that's the scary part, man. So when people say, "Hey, this the next GameStop," we talked about this before. Then people get excited and they try the folks that influence folks, they pump it up, get the stock price up, and then once it's up, they sell their share because they know eventually it's gonna come back down because there's nothing sustaining that level, and there is concern there. So,
and there's a name for it. If you want a little information, just search for the term pump and dump.
So I think like you said, these things have been around for years. It's not like this is nothing new, but just on this level, that's what's interesting about it. Because if you go to look at the stock market, you'll see the volume levels are huge for these things, and so that means you've seen a lot of movement, a lot of volatility. So before, when you did these pump and dump, they would happen over months, right? But now they happen over days. And so that's the challenge. And so, so just once again, buyer beware. I do feel like, GameStop, we talked about this before. Do they have a fundamental business change that they're doing? Mr. Benja, as someone that was involved in the game industry and understand it, more than probably the average Joe, what's GameStop doing, man? Are they just, just riding away from a marketing BS standpoint? Or are they really going to try to change, do something worthwhile?
Aish, it's hard to tell, man, because even while working within a company, it was hard to try to divine what the major players, the board members, the major stockholders, the company leaders, what they were doing and what they were up to. It's like, hey, they're making a big push in this direction. Why are they doing that? Oh, they were trying to sell off this one portion of the company. Or hey, they're really making a big push. Oh, they're trying to get into this new technology sector. So, there's all these plays that are happening behind the scenes. I wouldn't try to, you know, I wouldn't try to guess as to what they were doing. Um, but if you've got this type of wave from consumer dollars, regular retail investors, then use it for something. We already know that they've got an NFT project coming around. So there's that. I mean, I'm sorry. That was GameStop with the NFT project. With I almost mentioned AMC. With AMC, they're doing other things with the popcorn to the investors, the retailers. So there's always some little play. If they can squeeze a little extra, a little extra money out of that rock, then they'll go ahead and do it. As far as anybody making any big changes, like to swing the company around, I would usually expect that you would have made some type of bigger announcement, or at least like, hey, we're coming out with something new in the future. Give us 5 months. Hey, we're looking forward to doing X, Y, and Z. We've got a new partnership coming. There are these kind of hints that these companies put out. I'm not seeing that as many hints, so I'm personally not as secure in saying that they're doing something big, but who knows for real.
Yeah, strategy. When I think about strategy, kind of boils down to about three things. And when you think about are you differentiated against your competitors, right? Do you have something that's relevant that means a lot of people want it? And then is it sustainable? Man, can you keep it up, right? And so all three of those things that are it's hard to maintain balance of all three, right? Because you can't be so differentiated where you're not relevant to anybody, right? I can sell a pink elephant, but nobody
Yeah.
wants it. And then the other thing is sustainable. How hard, can you do that, but can you maintain based on your investments, right? So when you look at GameStop, against the umbrella, are they differentiated? Not really. They're just selling, games in the store. They're trying to do some interesting things with, I guess with the NFT market and stuff, but we'll
Hmm.
see how that works. Is it relevant? Not really, because you can buy the
Yeah.
games online. So it's like, how big is that market for people to physically go in, unless there was a reason to go in physically, right? That made
Yeah.
sense. And then sustainable, how sustainable, have they made the right investments, right, to kind of keep up with some of the new ways that they're going. And so that's debatable. They have stock now to do it, right? Their stock has risen. I think by my count, it looks like they're up about 1,000% year over year. So their stock has gone up substantially. So there's a lot of money in play, but can they do something with it? So I don't know, man. That's the challenge, when you think about the fundamentals. Now, if you look at AMC, I think it's a similar situation too, right? So yes, they're giving popcorn out, but you know what? They have to pay out about 5.5 billion in debt. So that basically they got a lot of debt to buy more theaters, right? So they can grow. They're like they have around 8,000 screens, and so they're the biggest in US, but that's because they purchased so many other theaters, over the years. So they got this $5 billion debt they got paid back, and perhaps the better use of this extra stock instead of giving people popcorn would be able to pay that debt down, right? And so
Yeah.
that way they have more, what they call profit, to kind of give out and create, other instruments like dividends, right, to pay out investors. So that's the thing. I mean, when you look at the business fundamentals of these companies, you like you question what can they do to kind of get out their, their processes, and it's going to take a lot more than giving out popcorn or creating some NFT
Yeah.
project. I think they really got to
Yeah.
think deeper.
Yeah. And definitely, you also have to look at how the landscape itself is changing. AMC and GameStop are both brands that are heavily associated with shopping centers, shopping malls, and physical venues. Like, you don't go to a GameStop that's sitting out somewhere by itself. It's usually part of a strip mall or, Barnes and Nobles and everything. So if everything in the strip mall goes away except GameStop, what are you going to do? Get mad? I mean, it's like our GameStop stores are doing well. Yeah, but the mall you're sitting in isn't. So, yeah, exactly. And that's to your relevance point and sustainability, even.
Yeah. So more to come, man. Dude, this is hot, hot, hot. We've been talking about this all year, so we'll see more. It's going to be interesting to kind of look back. Maybe we'll do a show. I think we have a prediction. We may have to do a check in on our predictions, see
Oh,
where everything ended up. Yeah, so far,
see how
half of the
wrong I am.
year. Yeah. We're gonna definitely do something like that. Yeah, we did a prediction show for those that don't know, so check it out back in January. So we may do a check-in, half a year check-in on our predictions to see some of the things we talked about, are starting to come true. Some of the things are not. So it's gonna be interesting. So with that being said, let's get into our recap. So today we're going to cover Loki, episode 2 and 3. Loki. So Mr. Benja, shoot, I don't know. Do you want to recap the second episode? What are your thoughts? I just threw it out there.
Yeah, I'll give a quick recap. So Loki has basically accepted his role in the TVA, and he's going to work with them, or at least it seems. Um, Basically, he's trying to find this other variant of himself and, and do something with it before this variant messes up the timeline again or keeps attacking him. And that's the only reason they're keeping Loki alive, or keeping him from being what do they call it? Disintegrated. Yeah, they're keeping him from being. So he's got a reason to work with them, and it's kind of compelling of a reason. But anyway, um, they try to go catch this variant. They fail. They learn some things, and it gives Loki an actual impetus to actually try harder. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get out there. I'm going to try harder. We learned some things. I am the superior Loki. So now he's got a reason to go search for this person, this variant. So now he finds a loophole within the system of the way the way Marvel does its time, and he realizes that, you know what, if you're in if you're hiding out in an apocalypse zone, a place where a major, apocalyptic event happens, then you can't really screw up the timeline, and you can just travel there, live out your time, and nothing really changes. So they go on this hunt, they find the variant, but the variant was expecting them. Dun dun dun. And we all see how this is going to play out in the short term, at least, because now you've got a variant that's that's a not a friend of Loki's, but they're kind of going to be working together. Um, they kind of see the in the same way in many respects. Basically, they neither of them really like the TVA. So the episode kind of ends with Loki running off with this variant and leaving the TVA behind. And now we have even more questions, and we don't know what to do with the episode 2 here. But it was a very exciting episode, so I got a lot of people talking. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I liked it. Again, if you like Loki, there's more Loki discussions, but I think Owen Wilson, the actor that plays more Mobius, he is great, and so that buddy cop kind of dynamic between them two really works. So I like it. I think there's some interesting things that they can do with that, and so I think that episode 2 really kind of highlighted that, and the whole interplay between them, right, just is really good. About Loki is trying to get over on him, and Mobius is kind of one step ahead of him, and then just Loki get excited about trying to talk to him using the salad analogy, right, that you talked about, how to hide into these apocalypses. And Mobius is just not there for that. He wants to just enjoy his salad. And so it's just that inner exchange was really, really fun and interesting. So I like that part. But I do feel like, where's it going, right? And so I think that kind of leads into the episode 3, which we'll talk in a second. But I think it's positive, right? They set all the clues down for something bigger, and Mobius is obviously a believer, and and I think that's going to be something that's going to be challenged by the end of this show. So that's something that's going to be very interesting, and I'm also curious to see one of the things that my hot take on all this is like what we're seeing in not just this show but Loki, but with the uh, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, excuse me, and WandaVision. You always had these tertiary characters, right, that really have that full character arc, right? You had Agatha, right? She was just this nosy neighbor that became something more, right? And it had a full backstory about who she is and what she's about. And uh, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we had U.S. Agent, right? John Walker getting introduced and having a character arc and becoming who he needs to become. So just likewise, we have Mobius, right? Who's this character we never knew before. It looks like he's going to come to some realizations. So I'm saying these TV shows look like they can't mess with the core characters too much, right? Like Wanda and Vision and, Captain, basically Falcon or Captain America now, and Bucky, and as well as Loki. But these third tier characters, that's attached to them, they can mess with them all day. And so I think we're going to see more of that. We're probably going to have more emotional context around the secondary characters in these TV shows, because they have more of a movement, right? And that'll make the TV show seem like it's interesting to watch. Even on reality, we both know nothing's going to happen in these TV shows that's going to impact the movies. So anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and we definitely we talked about this before offline, that what they're doing with these shows is doing these second tier comic runs. I mean, we have a premiere comic run where, like, something big is going to happen, but in between these huge comic runs, which we're likening to movies, you have these smaller runs in comics where it's like, hey, this character goes off into the mountains, does some stuff, and then comes right back, and nothing really changes. So That's what we're doing in these Marvel shows that we're getting on Disney Plus. Stuff's happening, stuff's moving around, but nothing's really changing that will affect the overall big story. Um, Character development. So some people are kind of into that, some people aren't. Uh, I think they could play it out a little better than they are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, so let's put them together. Let's talk a little bit about episode 3. Uh,
But
uh go
oh,
ahead. Do you want to still?
before we get into that question, there were some questions that episode 2 brought up. You know, the TVA is very bureaucratic, and at the end of it, end of episode 2, we see Loki run away from the TVA. So does this break the buddy cop aspect? Is that going to continue on?
Nah, it's over. Just, they don't care, man. They're just using TV tropes, kind of like WandaVision, right? They use TV
Hmm.
tropes to introduce the first 2 episodes was strictly TV tropes, literally ripped from a TV show, Dick Van Dyke
Yeah,
Show,
yeah,
and Bewitched. So likewise, they taking the buddy cop, concept and bringing it to this TV show. And I get it, I'm with it, but that's it. It's time to move on. They got more story to tell, and so I don't think we'll see that again.
right. Um, Another one. Do the and they're still talking about the timekeepers, but they haven't even shown them. There's this kind of question about them. You know, at this point in the show, they're kind of questioning, do they even exist? And I don't know in what form they exist, but it almost seems like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing that they're setting up. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Ravana, right at the
Yeah,
she's kind of like the speaker box for them. She's a judge, but no one can talk to her but her. It's very nebulous about who these guys are. Granted, they did an animation feature with Miss Minutes and showed
yeah,
their faces as lizards in these nice robes looking off into the sky, but you know
yeah.
propaganda is there for a reason.
Exactly. And definitely plays into the whole propaganda angle. So yeah, we're definitely on the same page there. All right, I just wanted to pop that in. I remember we had some questions about it.
Yeah, I think we're kind of similar. So, yeah, let's get into episode 3. So, episode 3, I can recap it real quick. Loki meets with uh, a lady that looks like him and could be a version of Loki, a variant of Loki, and she's on a mission as he followed her through the portal to go back to TVA and kill him. In the process, they fight, ensue. He has but in the process they end up going to a doom planet, one of the apocalypses that they can't get or escape from, and they can't leave because the machine that gets them back to the TVA or to any other time period is broken. So they get to know each other a little bit more, ride the train, get to know more folks about the people that live in that place, that doom planet. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, they do not escape. So they're left with thinking about how they're going to leave this environment. So that's high level. There was a lot of questions out of this one. I think a lot of things happening here was just more, not more of a buddy cop, but more of a character study of like who Loki is at his core. When you compare that to a version of Loki, right, that we haven't seen before. And I think that was useful, right, to kind of really dive into that character. It was really focused on those 2 characters and the world around them, but they didn't really leave that to go back to Mobius and TVA really beyond just the period of time when she went back to beat up and kill some folks. So very interesting kind of story. I think they were doing a lot of heavy lifting. You and I kind of talked about offline. Looks like it was that whole screenwriting trick where you have what they call the Pope swimming in the pool. Basically, you
Yeah,
do a lot of what's it called
exposition.
exposition. Thank you, to explain things, and but then you got all this crazy things going around you, so that you're like, hey, that's cool about the backstory, but look at that. So they put a lot of special effects in this show, in this episode, and so that hopefully distracted us from a lot of the heavy lifting they have to do to kind of tell backstories. So I thought it was serviceable. it was basically it's got to get us to the second half because there's only 6 episodes. So overall, I think I'm just ready for the next episode to see where they end up and where they're kind of going to end the show out. So, what were your quick thoughts?
Yeah, man. Whole lot of talky, not enough, not enough fighty, as 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 Lego Palpatine would say. Less talky. Yeah. The whole thing was a an escape kind of situation where you've got characters in, you've seen this on TV or somewhere. Characters in prison, characters on the desert,
Mm-hmm.
characters on a boat, and they've got to escape from the situation. So the entire time they're trying to escape, they're running up against each other. We'll do things my way. No, we'll do things my way. And then they figure out that they have to come together to act as a team. So yeah, you were right in your previous explanation that this buddy cop with Mobius thing is over. Now it's all about Loki and him discovering himself, herself, themselves with this episode, and their relationship began there, which is Loki's relationship with himself, herself, their self. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, you make a great point. I mean, this is the TV trope of a prison break, right? And so they're trying to escape this planet, Doom Planet Lamentis One, and it looks like they're using a lot of the same tropes, right? Oh, we got to disguise ourselves, right? Or we got to figure out how to get around this obstacle, or let's rest before we have the big breakout, right? The night before, right? And so there's a lot of those same kind of tropes that you see in like prison break TV shows, right, and movies. So you're right, they're kind of like just slowly but surely kind of like trotting out all the classics here. So we'll see what the next episode holds. It'll probably be like a mystery. Look, man, we can write this show. This would be a mystery episode. Episode 4 would be like, who are the timekeepers, right? And it's going to be a big mystery. Mobius is going to start getting suspicious, and we're going to see him investigate, what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my prediction. I haven't seen the preview. Have you seen the preview for episode 4 yet, or?
No, I thought about watching those, but I figured it was best not to. I'll just wait until the week, the Wednesday hits, and I'll watch it then.
Yeah.
For a show like this, I don't want to see the previews.
Yeah. So that's my prediction. Obviously, they ended episode 3. Spoiler alert. Again, we always, we got to put that warning out there. But looks like they aren't able. Loki and Lady Loki, that's what we're calling her now, is they can't escape the planet. They thought they could through this ship that was going to take off, but the ship explodes right in front of them, and the episode ends. And so obviously he's not going to stay on that planet. So, the next thing is like, okay, how's he going to get off? So it's a cliffhanger, so it's kind of like what?
I hope they don't jump. I hope they don't, have the Black Lady or Mobius come in and quote unquote save them. But I'm thinking about ways out for them. And I'm like, that might just be the way it happens.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. This is gonna be interesting. Unless there's another Loki variant comes up out of nowhere and it gets
Um,
them out.
so okay, if it's not the TVA, under the TVA's authority, that could be one rescue operation. Then you have another rescue operation, which is Mobius acting on his own,
Mhm.
because he's still kind of buddied up. Or you have the girl who is kidnapped. Um, she may play a part in getting them back for some reason. We don't know much about her, so she's an easy out. And
Talking about the hunter that
got taken
Lady
hostage.
Loki enchanted. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and another far out person would be Ravonna Renslayer herself. Like if she shows up, like, hey, listen, I've got some stuff going on. You're messing my stuff up.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some weird backdoor reason that she has to show them behind the curtains for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. It might be time for her to have a kind of standalone episode to kind of figure out what's her gig. So that's a good point. I think that might be where they might be going. She might be the savior for them. So that way we can kind of get a sense of who she is and what she's about. Is she really, the puppet master, or just being manipulated by these guys? So what are some of the big questions that we got out of this? Right, I think one of the things that people have been kind of discussing is this Lady Loki, a version of Loki, or is it another character from the comic books called the Enchantress, excuse me. And so, any thoughts on that, Mr. Benja?
Um, yeah, Marvel could go either way with this. Enchantress was a character that Loki actually creates in some form, in one of the timelines where he's like, hey, this person I need help with this operation. Let me go ahead and use my powers to create this other character that's going to grow into Enchantress.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how. I don't know how Marvel is going to play it here in the show. Maybe he transferred his likeness into her, because she clearly does not look like Loki at all, and I think that was part of it. She's not tall. She doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
blonde hair. I mean, she has blonde hair. Uh, she's a female, so we're not sure of how they would do that if it is Enchantress, and we're not sure how they would do it if it is in fact a Loki variant. Why is this Loki variant so different? I assume they would throw us a little bit of a bone as to why this Loki variant is so different when they showed us pictures of all these Lokis that were pretty similar. So,
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
an interesting call.
Yeah. So that's pseudo mystery. Do we like Lady Loki?
Uh, some people do. I didn't think she was incredibly compelling. I
Yeah.
thought she served her purpose,
Right.
but you know, um, as far as her motives go, we really don't know. It's like, I want to destroy the TVA, and we're not exactly sure why. We thought she wanted to destroy the timeline, but it seems like she's into destroying the TVA itself for whatever reason. So we'll have to
Yeah.
get a little bit more of her backstory to figure that out.
Yeah, I agree. She was a little one note. I mean, she's a little scrappy. She taught herself magic and all this other stuff, but I don't get a sense of anything beyond just she's on this revenge tour, right? But there's no nuance beyond that. So, just kind of curious to kind of see, she says she's hedonistic too, because Loki was out there singing on the train, having a good time. She says, I'm hedonistic too, but I didn't see that. You don't have to, show, don't tell, right? And so I
Yeah,
want to, where's the hedonistic, where's that at, right? The scene at the beginning, they showed her being a little bit, a little friendly with the hunter, right? But unfortunately, that was an enchantment. So we don't know if that's really her, what she really like. So, like I said, I want to see more, who she is and some more nuance there in that portrayal. But so we'll see. Um, I don't know.
are
Do you
you?
have in? Go ahead.
I was about to say, are you curious about any of the? You know, we learned, well, according to Sylvie slash Lady Loki, we learned that none of the TVA members are actually created in the TVA as Mobius seemed to
That's
think.
right. That was the big thing. Yeah, that was the big news. I mean, sure. So it's
Yeah.
like,
So I mean, these may all be people that she's known or is connected to somehow.
mm,
If they were all ripped out of the a '90s timeline, you know, that's why they have food and magazines and things that are familiar to them. Maybe that's what happened. So
okay.
it's a
Is this Mr. Benja's theory? Or is this some theories you saw on the internet?
Oh man, I can't tell where my theories end and where internet theories end. Cause I'm thinking things and then I go read things and they're different, and I kind of get my own thing together.
I love it, man.
Uh,
Okay,
I,
yeah, that's a good point. I never thought
I
about that like that.
Yeah, I still think they're. I still will say that I think they're in the quantum realm. That was
Mm-hmm.
not my theory, but when it came up, I was like, you know what? They're probably in the quantum realm. That's why the Infinity Stones don't work. That's
Mm-hmm.
why, they anytime they're asked about time, they just say, "Time acts differently here," which is the same thing they kept saying in Ant-Man about the and Endgame about the quantum realm, and of course, it leads into Quantum Mania if in fact that is where they are, the TVA that is.
Very interesting. Very interesting. We talked about Rick and Morty last week, and looks like the guy who wrote Rick and Morty season 5 premiere is also writing Quantumanium as well. Whereas, so it's interesting, man. Just it's all connected in Marvel world.
Are you gonna hashtag that? Are you gonna bring the hashtag back?
And we might have to bring. Was it all connected in Marvel world, or is it all
It's
connected?
it's all connected.
It's all connected. I love it. We should, man. Marvel, man. Marvel. It's Marvel's world. We just live in it, dude. So that's what we have to realize. So more to come on that, Mr. Benja. So with that being said, was there anything else we wanted to cover at Loki? I think we want to wrap it up here.
Yeah, we can go ahead and wrap it up. You know, the only thing I'm curious about is them just throwing extra powers at Loki out of nowhere. Um, I do wonder about like the telekinesis, the fireworks magic that he was doing to kind of blast people. It's not coming out of nowhere, but they really quickly shuffled it out there like, no, 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 he can do this. And it was kind of like, okay, all right, I'll take that. So we'll see what they do
Yeah,
with
we
his
know.
power set.
Yeah, we know he can change, form to different folks. He can telekinesis. Yeah, that's new. You're right. Picking up stuff. Yeah, I was kind of new. Maybe he did it in some of the Avengers movies. I got to look again. A fireworks blast, sure. So what is he like, Dazzler now?
What's her name? Jubilee.
Jubilee.
Yeah.
Well, there were two. Dazzler,
Yeah,
and she was all white. She was a rock star. And Jubilee, she had the yellow trench coat and the little glasses that sat on her head. So, oh man, Marvel, man, I love it. So, yeah, Mr. Benja. So, what you got planned for this week? Anything interesting?
This week, man, I'm gonna try to stay cool. It's getting hot out here, man. And when it gets hot out here, I try to calm down, not move too much. I don't know. I might find myself in a nice air-conditioned theater because of
Uh-oh.
it. We'll see.
Yeah, you gotta do. Yeah, we have to do it for the. We gotta do it for the pod, man. Do it for the gram. We gotta go check it out. Yeah, we gotta check it out and see what F9's all about. No, I'm excited, man. 4th of July is next weekend, so we're still gonna try to record you guys and get you guys some good content. But on my side, looking forward to the latest episode of Rick and Morty. See what they're talking about. Some good shows coming out. Ready, I guess next week after next will be Black Widow. So we'll see how that does. So excited. We're definitely in the midst of the summertime now. Here is July. So kind of excited to see where all this pans out, man, for this year. So yeah, definitely a lot better than it was last year. Let's just say that, man. Last year around this time, it was some bleak days with all that going on with COVID and racial injustice and protesting. So I think everybody's just happy to not have to deal with that this year. So definitely everyone be safe in your travel plans and all that. So with that being said, hey everyone, thank you for listening to our podcast. Please like, subscribe, and comment at Show versus Business on Twitter or Instagram. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, enjoy your time with you, Mr. Benja. Take care.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture. Please subscribe to this podcast at Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please like and subscribe to our Instagram page, Show versus Business, to get exclusive behind the scenes takes and upcoming episodes. Talk to you next time.
Finish him!